If you have ever wondered what it's like living in the most isolated country on Earth, you may never find out, especially if you are American. And when I say the most isolated country on Earth, I mean North Korea. Just in case you were getting any other ideas. The majority of people are briefly aware of what's going on in North Korea, at least on the surface, but only a few people understand the true situation of life in that country. Before we jump into the elements of North Korea that will change your outlook on life, let's take a little trip down memory lane and give you a little history lesson so you may understand the situation better. Back in the 1880s, North Korea was known as the Hermit Kingdom because it isolated itself from the rest of the world except its immediate neighbors. Toward the end of the 19th century, the thousand-year rule of the Korean monarchy began to fall apart due to external influence and internal unrest. Japan began to exercise more influence and authority against the Korean peninsula. At this point, China stepped in to defend Korea from Japanese influence and war broke out. The war lasted only a year from 1894 to 1895 and was known as the Sino-Japanese War. Japan emerged victoriously and its troops remained in the Korean peninsula for years to come, terrorizing the citizens. In 1896, Korea's monarch, King Gojong, fled his palace due to increasing threats from the Japanese and found refuge under the Russian litigation in Seoul. While under Russian protection, the Russian government was successfully able to influence the political decision of Korea's king, including their communist ideologies. The Japanese viewed Russia's effective influence in Korean politics as a threat, and tensions between the two countries rose until it reached its climax in the Russo-Japanese War that lasted from 1904 to 1905 and ended without any victors. At this point, President Theodore Roosevelt of the United States stepped in and brokered the Treaty of Portsmouth, which affirmed Japan's authority over Korea as a protectorate. Japan's reign of terror in Korea continued and increased massively around the Second World War when Japanese troops grew in number. The increase in oppression caused a rebellion to arise among Koreans, and about 200,000 Koreans took up arms against the Japanese in guerrilla warfare. Most of the fighters of the rebellion had adopted Russian communist ideologies, and one of the leaders of the guerrilla warfare was Kim Song-ju. Kim Song-ju was born in Korea but raised in communist China and had strong communist ideologies and values. Kim Song-ju fought the Japanese as head of the resistance for a few years and then joined the Soviet Union for training during the Second World War. After years of fighting in the Second World War, the United States claimed a victory over Japan by dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. At about the same time, the Soviet Union captured Manchuria, and the Japanese Empire surrendered due to the huge loss of both the capture of their leader and the destruction of their power cities. Because both the United States and Soviet Union had a hand in the fall of the Japanese Empire, they were eligible to share control of Korea, which was under Japanese rule. The two world powers had very different ideas on what a society should look like, so Korea was split in half. The North was ruled by the Soviet Union and its communist ideology, while the South was ruled by the United States and its capitalist ideologies. When the Cold War began between Russia and the United States in 1947, both powers could no longer agree on Korea. The United States proposed under the United Nations that Korea be allowed to vote for their next leader. Still, the Soviet Union refused, fearing that free and fair elections would harm their communist influence in the state. In the end, only South Korea held an election, and a man named Syngman Rhee became president of the Republic of Korea, or South Korea. In the North, rather than have an election, the Soviet Union handed power over to Kim Song-ju. Remember him? He was the leader of the guerrilla warfare in the Korean Rebellion against the Japanese, who went to train and fight in the Soviet army. By this time, his name was Kim Il-sung, and he was a former communist commander. Kim Il-sung was a beneficial candidate of the Soviet Union because he was a Korean with staunch communist ideologies, and the Soviets wanted to preserve communism in Korea. This began the communist dynasty that has ruled in North Korea for 70 years till this day. Present-day North Korea is ruled by Kim Il-sung's grandson, Kim Jong-un, and with him, the iron fists ruling the nation have tightened. Kim Jong-un's government in North Korea is totalitarian. This means that the government owns everything on the soil and even commands the actions of the people. In North Korea, everything about the state is controlled down to the acceptable hairstyles and clothing clothing styles of the civilians. Only interstate traveling is allowed for the citizens because the government fears that if North Koreans were allowed to travel out of the country, they would not return. Many other ridiculous rules guide the manners and behaviors of the citizens of North Korea, and foreigners visiting the country also have to follow strict guidelines. The first guideline foreigners have to follow is that they cannot come into the country without a tour guide. There are companies in Beijing, China, and Shanghai that operate tours in North Korea. The tourist sites foreigners are allowed to see are all approved by the Korean government. Foreigners cannot go anywhere in North Korea without their tour guide, and wandering away from their tour groups will bring severe consequences to the state. This means that as a tourist in North Korea, you can only see the places the government wants you to see. Everything is heavily censored. Some of the other rules foreigners must follow in North Korea are 1. Referring to the past or present Korean leader as "dear leader." First of all, as a foreigner, you are better off not speaking of the North Korean government at all. But if you absolutely must, then you have to refer to the leader as "dear leader." 2. Restriction of photos. There are certain pictures foreigners are not allowed to take in North Korea. One of the most absurd ones is of uncompleted buildings. In North Korea, foreigners are not allowed to take pictures featuring any uncompleted buildings. This is because the North Korean government wants no representation of its country that isn't perfect. Also, if you take a photo of the leader, his face must be in full frame and not cut off. It is essential to make sure that the face of the leader is in the full frame when taking a photo, because the officials would check your phone to make sure of it. You also cannot take any photos of government buildings. Number 3. No use of local currency. As a foreigner in North Korea, using the local currency is a severe crime against the state, just as using a foreign currency is for a citizen, even though the North Korean leaders and elite spend nothing but foreign currency. Number 4. Talking to strangers. This is a particularly ridiculous rule you have to follow as a foreigner in North Korea. You're not allowed to talk to strangers. Considering you are a foreigner, just about everybody will be a stranger to you. By limiting foreigners' communication with the locals, there are a lot of things the North Korean government can hide. There are a few other restrictions you will face as a foreigner in North Korea. But now, let's talk about what you will find when getting into North Korea. Number 1. Style. There is no existence of fashion in North Korea. The citizens dress in a way that is approved by the government. They are not allowed to wear clothing items that are considered Western, such as jeans. The traditional Korean attire, along with other clothing items, is approved for the populace to wear. The government also has a bunch of suitable hairstyles that the people can choose from. Straying from the list of appropriate hairstyles would bring severe consequences. It's important to note that the hairstyle Kim Jong-un wears is not among the government-approved hairstyles. Luxury items and brands such as Gucci and Chanel are banned in the country. Even things like jewelry are only worn by the elite. Number 2. Censorship. Censorship is a big part of North Korea. When Kim Il-sung was given power by the Soviet Union, he established an organization for arts and literature in North Korea, through which he began controlling the media. On the television stations in North Korea, there are only 4 channels, all of which are controlled by the government. The citizens of North Korea have no access to the internet. Their books and comics are all censored by the government. The country also has a ban on tech products from the West, and all tech products used in North Korea use a homegrown software called Red Star. Number 3. Products. Certain products are banned in North Korea, even though they are not luxurious. Some of these products are birth control pills and condoms. This is because Kim Jong-un loves the idea of increasing population in North Korea. Number 4. Badges. All North Koreans wear a pin on their left breast with the face of their current leader or the face of their current leader and his predecessor. Non-citizens of the country are not allowed to wear these badges. As for citizens, not wearing the badge is equal to undermining the importance of the leaders. Number 5. Security. We're not sure if we can call this security or supervision. Almost every street in North Korea has security personnel stationed there. Police can be seen on every street corner, and the officials are allowed to check citizens to make sure of proper behavior. They can look through your phone or arrest you for the wrong hairstyle or for not following dress code. That is, of course, if you are a citizen. These are only a few of the things you might notice, especially since your experience in the country will be greatly limited. Having mentioned the state of the country and the way of life of its citizens, we're sure you can see why visiting Korea would give you a whole new outlook on life. A few people who visited the isolated country said they felt thankful for their living conditions, even though their own living conditions weren't perfect. Another visitor learned to be happy regardless of the circumstances. One particular visitor was repeatedly grateful for her freedom on so many levels. This brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.